7.4 million years ago, Earth was changing. The lush forests that once stretched endlessly across the continent were slowly fading away. In their place, vast open grasslands began to dominate the horizon. The air was hotter, the rain came less often, and the once green world of our early ancestors was turning into a land of dust and survival. In this harsh and shifting world lived one of the earliest known ancient humans, Sahelanthropus tchadensis. Standing no more than 1.5 meters tall, this small being was neither fully ape nor fully human. It was a creature caught between two worlds, walking partly on two legs, yet still relying on the trees for safety and food. Every day was a fight for survival. The dry season stretched longer than ever before, and the rivers that once teemed with life had begun to shrink into muddy patches. Food was scarce. The fruits that once hung heavy from the trees had vanished, and the grasses of the savanna offered little nutrition. To survive, these early humans had to adapt. They searched for roots hidden beneath the dry soil, chewed tough seeds, and scavenged what little remained of fallen fruit. Their small groups moved constantly, following the faint promise of water or the shadow of trees still standing in the distance. But the savanna was not empty. It was ruled by giants and killers. Herds of ancient elephants, the ancestors of today's species, roamed the plains. Gigantic horned antelope grazed the dry grasses, while saber-toothed predators stalked silently in the tall grass. For our fragile ancestors, every rustle of leaves could mean danger. At dawn, a group of the ancient humans would climb down from the trees after a long, tense night. Their eyes scanned the horizon. Safety was never guaranteed. The moment they stepped onto the ground, they entered a world ruled by predators far larger and stronger than themselves. But evolution had given them something new: curiosity and the beginnings of awareness. They started to recognize patterns in nature, where the water tended to gather after rain, where fruit trees grew near the edges of dry riverbeds, and which sounds in the distance meant danger. Their bodies, too, were changing. Their skulls were slightly more balanced than their ape cousins, suggesting they could stand upright for short periods. This tiny advantage allowed them to see above the tall grass, to spot predators early, and to search for distant food sources. Standing upright was not just a physical change, it was the first step toward the long path of human evolution. As the dry wind blew across the plains, ancient human and families huddled together in small groups. They communicated through gestures, facial expressions, and soft calls, the early echoes of language. Cooperation was their greatest strength. Together they searched for food, protected their young, and kept watch for danger. During the hottest hours of the day, they sought shade beneath what little trees remained. The sun was unforgiving, burning through their thin fur and draining their energy. Water became their most precious resource. Sometimes they followed the smell of rain carried by the wind for kilometers, hoping to find a puddle or a small pond left behind by a passing storm. Each evening, as the sky turned red and the temperature dropped, they climbed back into the trees to rest. Below them, the sounds of the savanna filled the night. The distant roars of ancient lions, the calls of giant birds, and the rustle of unseen creatures moving through the grass. Their world was raw, unforgiving, and magnificent. Every sunrise was a test, a reminder that only those who could adapt would survive. In this relentless struggle, Sahelanthropus tchadensis began to shape the destiny of humanity. Though they did not know it, their simple acts, standing upright, traveling together, learning from experience, would set in motion the great evolutionary story of humankind. From these humble beginnings, millions of years later, their descendants would craft tools, build shelters, and eventually gaze at the stars, wondering where it all began. But for now, 7.4 million years ago, their only thought was to survive the coming night, and to see another sunrise in a world that demanded everything from them. In the struggle against heat, hunger, and fear, our ancestors found resilience. Every adaptation, every small step forward was carved from necessity, and it was this determination, the will to endure, that allowed life to continue, even when the world itself seemed to turn against it. The story of humanity does not begin with tools or fire. It begins here, under the blazing sun in a world of drought and danger, where survival was the first language ever spoken.